Osun, snakes lived like humans. In this forest, snakes got married just like humans. There were two giant male snakes in this forest, but they never wanted to marry their fellow snakes. They said they wanted to marry the most beautiful things in the world. In an African kingdom called Echo, there lived three young ladies called Ola, Tami, and Bisi. The three ladies were best friends. Ola and Tami were the prettiest ladies in the kingdom. No man would see them and say no to their beauty. But Bisi, their third friend, was very ugly. The beauty of Ola and Tami was always talked about by the people of the kingdom. Whenever they passed by, the attention given to them was more than that given to the king. Everywhere would be silent, and everybody would focus on them. The animals would come around to see. Every man around at that moment would leave whatever they were doing and focus their eyes on them. This made Ola and Tami not see themselves as ordinary women, but as small goddesses of the kingdom. They were so proud, they rejected all the men who proposed to them for marriage, including Femi, the son of the richest farmer in the kingdom. They would say, "No man in the kingdom has the money to maintain our lives. We want to marry men that have everything in the world, so that when we get to their houses, we will become more and more beautiful, not ugly." But Bisi, their third friend, was never like that. Because she was ugly, she never rejected any man that proposed to her. She got married to one of the farmers in the village. In the forest called Osun, where snakes lived like humans, there were two giant male snakes, but they never wanted to marry their fellow snakes. They said they wanted to marry the most beautiful things in the world. Ola and Tami still enjoyed their single life. They still insisted that no man in the kingdom could take good care of them. They always went to a faraway river in the kingdom, not to fetch water, but to play. They saw the river as the quiet place to make themselves happy. They would sing and dance. Sometimes they would enter the river, splashing water on themselves. One day, one of the giant snakes from Osun Forest came to drink water in the river. On getting to the river, the snake saw Ola and Tami from a very far distance. He could not see them so well. The snake dodged secretly and moved closer to them. Ola and Tami didn't notice anything. The snake moved closer and saw their beauty. He saw their skin shining like gold, their eyes blinking like a newborn baby's. The snake said to itself, "This is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. They look so beautiful. If my partner sees this, I know he will like them too." The snake imagined moving closer to them, touching their skin, playing and having fun with them. But he knew if he appeared to them and did so, they would be so scared. They would run and never come back to the river again. The snake hid secretly until they were done. While the snake was hiding, he heard Ola telling Tami, "Okay, friend, we are done for today. Let's go home. We will come back tomorrow." Ola and Tami left the river and went back home. The snake went back to the forest. When the snake got back to the forest, he told his partner, the second giant snake, what his eyes had seen in the river. "I saw what my eyes have never seen today. Two beautiful humans, their bodies shining like gold, and their eyes blinking like a newborn baby," said the snake. The second giant snake was in a hurry to see what his friend had seen too. But the other snake replied and said, "I heard their discussion. They said they will come back to the river tomorrow." On the second day, Ola and Tami were already in the river playing as usual. As the two giant snakes got to the river, the second giant snake was so impressed with their beauty. The two snakes fell in love with Ola and Tami, but they didn't know what to do. The snakes didn't know much about them. They didn't even know their names. So they decided to always come around whenever they were in the river to hear their conversation. Through this, they would know more about them. They would know what they liked and what they disliked. One day, the two snakes were hiding somewhere around the river, hearing their conversation. The snakes heard them talking about the type of men they would like to marry. "I am the prettiest woman in the world, and I will marry the most beautiful, powerful, and kind man in the world," Ola said. And Tami responded to her by saying, "I will marry the strongest and richest man in the world." The two snakes heard this, but they were not happy because they didn't have the power to turn into humans. It was only the king of the snakes in the forest that could give them the power to turn into human beings. Ola and Tami left the river and went back home, and the two snakes returned to the forest to meet their king. They told their king, "We have been waiting for days like this to come, and the day has finally come. We have seen the loves of our lives, the ones whom our hearts have truly chosen. They are beautiful human beings. So, King, we want you to give us the power to be able to turn into human beings. We can't appear to them like this. They will be scared. But if we appear to them in the form of rich, wealthy, and powerful men, they will listen to us, and we will become their husbands. The king of the snakes responded with anger and said, "No, Number, I will never do that. You know the law of our kingdom. Snakes can only be turned into humans if we have an important mission in the world of humans. I can never turn snakes into humans because they want to go and marry them. No, I can never do that. There are a lot of beautiful snakes in our kingdom. Go to them and marry them." When the two giant snakes heard what the king had said, they left the palace. But they were never happy. Day after day, they kept coming to the king to beg him to give them the power to turn into humans. But the king kept saying no, until one day, the two snakes came to the king begging him for the power. "Please, we need this power, please." The king of the snakes saw the pain on their faces. He heard their cry and accepted their request. He agreed to give them the power. "But I want you to know this," the king said in a bold and fearful voice. "When you marry them and impregnate them, the babies belong to our kingdom." The two snakes accepted and agreed with the king's conditions. The king gave them the power, and they started leaving. But as they were about to leave the palace, the king reminded them and said, "Remember, you are going for some time, not forever. Don't forget you belong to our kingdom, not their kingdom. Goodbye." The second day, Ola and Tami came to the river to play as usual, but on their way going back home, they saw two beautiful men. Their faces were shining like ripe brown mangoes. They looked tall and very beautiful. The first man named himself Kofi, and the second man named himself Dio. The two men approached and said to them, "Hi, princesses. How are you doing?" But Ola and Tami never answered. The pride in them made them not care about the men's beauty. As they kept going, Ola mistakenly shook one of her legs on a very long nail. She shouted and screamed in a very loud voice, "My leg! My leg!" Blood was flowing and rushing out seriously. As Kofi and Dio heard one of the ladies shouting, they quickly moved closer to them. "What happened to your friend?" Temi replied with a gentle voice, crying bitterly. "Please help my friend. She just struck her leg on a very long nail, and there is nobody around to help us. Please help me, and let's carry her to the village." Kofi answered, "We cannot help, but we can heal." Kofi laid his hand on the wound, and the wound started healing instantly. The blood stopped. Flesh covered the wound back to its normal position. Ola never felt any pain again. She stood up with surprise on her face. Ola and Temi asked themselves silently in their minds, "Who are these men?" Kofi and Dio heard what they were silently saying in their minds, and they replied to them loudly at once and said, "We are the men you are looking for, the men that have everything in this world. Let's go to your kingdom. It seems your place is too far." Dio pointed his right hand to the bush. Immediately, 4 white horses came out right from the bush. "Climb it, and let's go to your kingdom," Dio said. Ola and Temi climbed the horses with fearful minds, asking different kinds of questions in their minds. Who are these men? Hope these men are not ghosts. It was dark when they got to their village. It was already evening. Ola and Temi, the two friends, had to depart and go to their various houses. Kofi followed Temi to sleep in her house, and Dio followed Ola. That night, Ola and Temi could not sleep. When Dio saw that Ola could not sleep, he moved close to her and said, "Young princess, it's late. Why are you not sleeping?" Ola replied with a soft voice, I am scared. I don't know you." "I am also a human being like you," Dio said. "All what you saw was just a gift from God. What you saw last time was just a little of what I can do. You still have more to see that I can do and undo. I can turn animals into men and humans into animals. It's nothing but a gift from God. So don't be afraid of me. I am also a human being like you." Ola felt calm with his words, and her fear disappeared instantly. She believed him. She now felt free with him. And she asked, "What is your name?" Dio answered confidently and said, "My name is Dio." They both smiled at each other, and Dio asked, "Will you marry me?" Ola smiled and answered, Yes, I am loving you, and I am already yours. The second morning, Dio and Kofi asked everyone in the kingdom to bring their sick ones to them, both the old and young ones, and the blind ones, and also the women that hadn't given birth for years. Kofi and Dio healed them all, and this made Ola and Tami fall in love more and more with Kofi and Dio. They both got married. Their wedding went well. As the days went by, day after day and moon after moon, Kofi and Dio healed everyone in the kingdom, except someone that never got healed, the king's wife. She had never gotten pregnant since she got married into the palace. All the village herbalists had tried their best, but nothing worked, and this had made the king worried, because if he suddenly died, he had no one to take over the throne. Kofi and Dio always went to the palace to heal the king's wife, but nothing worked. After several months, Ola and Tami got pregnant, but Dio and Kofi felt unhappy because their time was already near, the time to go back to where they came from. One night, Ola slept and woke up to see a giant snake beside her. She shouted loudly. She was so scared and wanted to run, but the doors were closed. "Don't be afraid. I am your husband. I can't hurt you, but listen to me. I never wanted to leave you. I wish to stay forever, but our king gave me a little time to use in the world of humans, and the time is now. The baby inside you is not an ordinary baby, and it belongs to our kingdom. The baby is not yours, but a baby of our kingdom. On the day you give birth, I will come and carry the baby. Don't forget, you are still my wife. No man should ever come close to you." The giant snake passed through the window and entered into the bush. Ola screamed so loud as she forcefully opened the door and ran to Temi's house. On getting to Temi's house, Temi was lying dead on the floor. Moreover, what happened to Ola was exactly what happened to Temi, but Temi was so scared. As she wanted to run outside, she hit her head on the wall and fell down dead. The villagers were worried and never knew what could have caused Temi's death. But as days went by, they moved on and forgot about it. Whenever they asked Ola about her husband, she would lie and say he has traveled to a faraway village to heal people. One day the king had a dream. He saw Ola giving birth to a baby with a golden crown on the baby's head. The baby grew up to become a powerful king. He ruled the kingdom so well. When the king woke up, he thought the dream was an ordinary dream and didn't take it personally. The second night, he had the same dream again. Immediately the king woke up. He started taking it personally, saying, "This is not an ordinary dream." He said to himself, "Is it that Ola is carrying the next king? I will do anything to protect this baby to make the dream come true. Of course, I don't have any child. But as long as I have someone who can rule and take good care of my people, I am very okay with that." The next day, the king called for Ola. When Ola got to the palace, the king narrated his dream to her. Ola was shocked and replied to the king saying, "This can't be possible. The baby doesn't belong here." Ola stopped talking and started crying bitterly. But the king didn't understand what she meant by saying the baby didn't belong there. From that moment, the king commanded that Ola should start living in the palace, and they should treat her like a queen, because she was carrying the next king. Ola started living in the palace as the king had commanded. But the king noticed something. He noticed that Ola had never been happy since she started living in the palace. The king thought she should be happy, as she now lived in the palace like a queen. But Ola was never happy because she knew she was in very big danger that would affect the whole kingdom. One day, Ola was sitting somewhere alone in the palace, and the king saw her crying alone. It was at this moment the king knew that there was some secret Ola was hiding. The king moved closer to her, and Ola was shocked as she saw the king beside her. She quickly cleaned up her face as if nothing had happened. And the king asked her, "Queen, what happened?" But Ola answered, "Nothing." The king sat down beside her and said, "A problem shared is a problem solved. Tell me what happened. I am the king of this kingdom, and I have the power to control everything in my kingdom." And Ola replied and said, "The problem is the baby. The baby belongs to a giant snake of the forest. My husband, the villagers know, is a snake, and he will come back and carry the baby immediately after I give birth to the baby." The king was shocked as he heard this. He stood up angrily and said with a very bold voice, "Nothing can take this baby away from this kingdom, because he is the king of the next generation. I will tell my warriors to be ready and my soldiers to be vigilant, and all the herbalists in the kingdom to wake up. The baby is going nowhere." Ola felt calm with the king's words and believed that the king would save the baby from the giant snake on that day. On the day Ola wanted to give birth, Echo Kingdom knew the day they were expecting had come. The king knew this would not just be an ordinary fight, but a war. He ordered his warriors to sharpen their swords very smooth and sharp, the soldiers to load their guns with bullets as much as possible, the herbalists to be more perfect with their spiritual incantations. Ola gave birth successfully. The baby was a boy. The whole kingdom was ready. The soldiers, the warriors, and the village herbalists were standing with confidence, expecting any suspicious move. And suddenly, if you're eager to see how this story unfolds, please subscribe and let us know in the comments below. Type continue to see episode 2. Your feedback will help shape future videos on this channel.